I think it's important to highlight why arbitration is important to Pakistan. Pakistan is not new to the arbitration world. Most of the arbitrations related to Pakistan have been in relation to the independent power projects, which have all gone to ICC or LCIA arbitrations, or in relation to infrastructure projects such as the highways and motorways, and many of those have gone to Singapore. But what has happened is that we have not seen too many arbitrations taking place in Pakistan itself. One of the main reasons, as the previous speakers have mentioned, is in order to have the confidence of the foreign investors in the local judicial system, you need to have a body of both lawyers and members of the judiciary who are not just familiar with the world of arbitration, but are also seen to be familiar with the best practices in relation to arbitration and ADR across the world. In Pakistan, in relation to Pakistan, I have to also say that it's not just that if an arbitration is being done abroad that there is no link with the court system. As Mr. Toby Landu has very rightly pointed out, that there is a direct correlation, and one of the key examples of this correlation is that even if an arbitration is done abroad and it needs to be enforced in a country like Pakistan. Pakistan is a member state of the New York Convention on Enforcement of Foreign Arbitral Awards. The enforcement and execution has to take place through Pakistani courts. So even that is an important point, and at the moment we see that even with due respect to members of the judiciary present here, that even enforcement and execution processes can take months if not years. So it's not just a matter of the arbitration process or a commercial court case process itself. Now in relation to ease of doing business in a country, contract enforcement is key, and as Justice Jawad Hassan mentioned earlier, that steps have been taken in this respect in the past and are being taken to increase investor confidence and ease of doing business through enhanced and improved contract enforcement through the courts of Pakistan, but a lot needs to be done in this respect still. The High Court, in particular the High Court, the Lahore High Court, has done its bit by pushing through the concept of commercial courts, working with other stakeholders to come up with a commercial courts ordinance, which unfortunately has lapsed at the moment. So the good work that's been done, it's not moving forward as it should at the moment. And on this, it's important to highlight that it's not just the responsibility of the judiciary or the lawyers to try and help improve contract enforcement or to undertake law reform. The main responsibility lies with the Parliament of Pakistan and with the provincial parliaments. And I think for the Pakistanis amongst us today, it's a responsibility that we all share and that we must highlight to this parliament and any future parliament that lawmaking needs to be undertaken in this respect. The Arbitration Act of Pakistan, of course, needs to be reformed. The Commercial Courts Ordinance needs to be improved, and a Commercial Court Act should be promulgated as soon as possible in order to move things forward. I practice, a lot in the Middle East, and DIFC courts and ADGM courts are two good examples of how international and local investor confidence has been enhanced through processes of specialized courts at DIFC and ADGM. There are emergency procedures available at these courts. The registrar can be approached 24/7 if there is a requirement. The movement of money never stops. International trade and shipping arrangements don't take a break at night, and therefore it is important that investors and international traders know that they can have recourse to courts at all times. In Pakistan now, it is good to see that for the enforcement of fundamental rights, at least we can have recourse to courts at different hours. But hopefully, in order to propel economic growth in the country, we'll come up with a system in relation to contract enforcement and increasing investor confidence as well. The world has moved on. Mr. Rifat pointed out a very good point about e-commerce and what's happening around it, the world has moved on to online dispute resolution. The world of e-commerce, you cannot go to traditional courts to resolve online disputes. It's just not feasible. So in order to do that, the world has moved on to online dispute resolution and the like, and global platforms like Amazon resolve most of their disputes online in a very electronic format with minimal human interaction. So those are the kind of things that when we look at alternative dispute resolution, that we need to consider. So it's not just about traditional court structures anymore. Pakistan, as also pointed out by the previous speakers, is a signatory to and member state of or a party to a lot of international investment agreements. The world's first bilateral investment treaty was in fact signed between Pakistan and Germany in the 1950s. Those international investment agreements, they have arbitration clauses in them. A lot of the large arbitration disputes and awards that you see, whether it's Ricodec or Carke and others, emanate from those investor-state treaties and investor-state arbitration that starts from it. So Pakistan needs to be familiar with all of this. We need to, and thank you for the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators to finally starting the branch in Pakistan. We need to build the capacity of our in our legal profession and in the judiciary to be able to handle these arbitrations ourselves. Costs are a very key factor when it comes to commercial dispute resolution, whether through the commercial courts or international arbitrations or domestic arbitrations. I have to say that commercial court related dispute resolution is still cheaper than going for an arbitration even domestically. The cost of arbitration can be prohibitive in many cases, therefore there is no real alternative to having a strong judicial system and specialized courts till such time that traditional courts can handle such cases in an appropriately good manner. So those are my initial thoughts, Mr. Chairman, and look forward to the Q&A session.
Thank you, Barrister Taimur.